Welcome to Wayward Writers. I'm senior literary agent and author Heather Cashman.
I'm author and writing coach Stephanie Bearce.
And I'm author and writing coach Nicki Jacobsmeyer.
Our mission is to nurture and enrich established writers throughout their publishing journeys.
We welcome all genres, age groups, and publishing paths through video podcasts, online webinars, in-person retreats, and more.
We're here to help you conquer your path.
Any advice given in this episode is for educational purposes only and not to be used as legal advice. Welcome to Wayward Writers. We are going to talk about I have a book offer. Now, what do I do? Guys, what is our answer?
Right, always celebrate.
We always celebrate.
First step.
Yes, that is always our first step. And it's an important one. No one else is going to do this for you if you don't do it for yourself. So you have to take that moment, even if it's just you get to have a glass of chocolate milk, whatever. You got to make it count. Okay.
A bag of Oreos.
So both of you, I know for a fact, have gotten multiple offers in your careers. So what are maybe some questions that you feel you should have asked or wish you had asked or that you feel are important to ask when you first get an offer?
That's the hard thing if you are unagented, which I was unagented for many years and many contracts and just did them on my own. And I know I messed up.
Easy to do.
So I'm really glad we're going to talk about this because I think a lot of times you don't know. I didn't know what to ask. I just thought, oh, you give me a contract. It's like I'm supposed to sign on the dotted line. I didn't even really know what's negotiable, what is, what isn't. How about
right?
you?
And Stephanie, like in the beginning, like when it's your first contract with the first couple, even maybe, you're so excited. I think the excitement never ends. Like,
oh no,
it's still like the first time, right? Maybe a little less fear and a little bit more like knowledge and realism in the whole process. But you're so excited that I think you feel like, oh, I will sign whatever.
Yep.
Because I just want this book deal. There's a little bit of desperation in that you're like, oh, it's finally happening. And so I would recommend take a hot second, right? Take a breath after you celebrate it and pause. And remember that this is a business agreement. They want your book. So you also have choices.
I think too that what I have seen with my clients is sometimes I will push hard on things for my clients and they come back and they're like, I'm afraid that they're just going to withdraw the offer if you push them. And that's not true. You can always ask. They might say no, but just because you ask for something, they're not going to just pull the whole contract. They're just going to say, no, that's a deal breaker for us. And then if
that's a great point,
take it, then you don't take it.
So maybe that's the first thing to think about or to know. If you've got the contract and say you're negotiating it on your own, how long do you have? How long can you take? Can you say, I need a week, I need 2 weeks? Is that reasonable? That gives you time to ask questions.
And generally, I've found, let me know what you guys think, usually the answer is take as long as you need. A lot of times, like when you're querying agents, same thing. Maybe be a little leery if they're like, I need to know tomorrow. That would be a red flag for me. I'd be like, whoa, wait, like what's going on here? What do you guys think?
It's not necessarily a standard, but it's basically just like a generalization that's done is a couple of weeks. Like you have usually 2 weeks, they would like an answer. That's how it is with agenting. You don't want to take forever because is that they have this book and they think, okay, we're probably going to, put this book, we're going to slot it into a certain season and a certain year. And so if you say, oh, I'm just going to take forever on this contract, then that's going to mess them up. Yes. Other publishers, though, aren't going to care because they're going to say, we're small, and whenever it comes around, that's fine, and we'll maneuver it at that time. There have been lately, though, I have been seeing some trends of people, because in my inbox, sometimes people who have queried me get offers from small publishers that they've also submitted to. And I'm seeing smaller publishers closing that window. They are saying we need to know within a week, because what's happening is that sometimes when people get an offer, either they or their agents will go out and submit it to even more places. And then that small publisher who has spent all this time on it, which believe me is extensive and has cost them quite a bit, they are losing it to other publishers who maybe are going to offer a little bit more or whatever. And so I see them kind of closing this a little bit more and a little bit more as people don't really act in good faith, what we would call operating in good faith.
That makes a lot of sense. So basically, you're saying a, on average a week to 2 week window if you're negotiating for yourself, you can expect. But
Yeah.
wouldn't you would I would ask them. That's what I've always done
Absolutely.
is to say, "Great, I'm excited about this. I need a little bit of time. How long?" And
Yeah.
then ask them what the time frame would work for them. And
Yeah, and I would also recommend sometimes you will have had maybe a phone call with an editor. The offers are given, right? This has happened to me. And they verbally say, I want to buy your book. Huge. You should celebrate after. And then you should ask for it in writing, okay? Because those are two different things. A verbal contract at the end of the day means nothing. You've got to get it in writing.
Yeah.
100%.
By writing, I mean in a document coming via email.
And that, yeah. So you need, and then it should be coming to you probably this day and age. It's going to come to you on a DocuSign or some way in the email. I pretty much do DocuSign on all of mine now. I don't know about you guys. Is that what
Yeah.
you're
Yes.
seeing, Heather?
Definitely. And if you're on the call with the editor and they do give you a verbal, hey, there will be an offer incoming. It's not rude if you just kindly say, can you give me a time frame of when I should expect your email?
Yes.
Because we all know that there's a black hole of the internet where some emails go to die, and it's good for you to have a time frame of saying, okay, I can expect this offer in 2 weeks or in 1 week or whatever it is.
And it might come from someone else, right? Like you might be talking to an acquisition editor who is different than maybe the editor you're going to work with or the contract department. These are all
Yeah.
things to ask that you can ask, but it's pretty, you usually know when that subject line comes in that
Yeah.
magic's starting to happen.
And just a little tag on that, if you have an offer without an agent, that it is also customary for you, if you want to go get an agent to help you with the contract, it's customary for you to say, I have some queries out with some agents and I'd really like to follow up with them to see if they want to represent me and help me with this contract. And oftentimes they'll say, oh yeah, that's fine. Just go ahead and do it. And then you negotiate or talk about a deadline or whatever. And if you don't negotiate or talk about a deadline, then generally they'll nudge you. If you're taking too long, they'll nudge you and say, hey, like, where are we at with this? Do you have an agent yet? So they're nice
Yeah,
people,
good point.
usually.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so do you guys want to talk about stuff that's language and what things mean, like advance? Like, what is an advance and what does that mean?
Yeah,
Stephanie,
sure.
Heather.
Stephanie, tell
Heather's
us
the
about
expert on what an advance is.
Oh, come
Yes.
on. You've gotten a lot of advances. Tell us about advances, Stephanie.
Advances are fun because you get money and your agent gets money. Or if you don't have an agent, you get all the money. But an advance is basically a good faith payment which is an advance on your royalties. So you will have to earn out whatever they give you. So that's some people are like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. This great advance, but you have to earn out whatever is paid to you. Most advances that I receive are paid in two parts. So the first part is at the signing of the contract, and the second part is paid on delivery of the manuscript. Sometimes I have to write the manuscript. And
That's
some,
for nonfiction people. That's a whole another
oh, but
episode.
for
So
fiction too. I mean, for
well,
fiction
that's
too.
true. Good
Yeah,
point.
because you can sell. I've sold on. You could sell that way too. So just it's delivery of the manuscript in. And then, of course, if you are working with an agent, 15% of that is going to go to your agency. For me, I think it's well worth it because like I said, I am not good at negotiating contracts. I'm one of those people who's, oh, sure, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. And there are just so many things like the terms, like the advance. I would never have gone in and negotiated additional
Right.
advance,
Yeah.
whereas my agent will, or at least try to, or try to arrange for more of it up front. There's just all sorts of different things that you can ask for that I did not realize that can be asked for. Yeah, faster payment. Looking at your payment schedules, I did not negotiate. I have a couple of series that they're old, and I still get really nice royalty payments on them. And I didn't negotiate this. I would have never even thought of it, but I get quarterly royalty statements or
Well, that's
royalty
nice.
payments. And that's really unusual.
Yeah,
So there's just
usually it's twice a year.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just really, there's a lot of things that you can negotiate.
And I think too, whether you want an agent or not, like I get it. You have to share the money.
Yes,
Um,
you do.
but like you mentioned, Stephanie, agents a lot of times can help you get more of an advance, or they can help you with questions like, should I go with this advance and get this percentage, or no advance and a larger percentage, right? Like those are questions that are helpful, like what you want to do.
And definitely
Yeah,
worth thinking about. Yeah. The other thing I just wanted to mention, tagging on to what Stephanie said about advances, is that nowadays publishers are trying to push things out to 3 or even 4 payments. Those payments can be on delivery, but they also can be on delivery and acceptance, meaning they have to
Mm.
have accepted the final manuscript, which a lot of times can be after copy, after it can be after the illustrator is finished and the copy is actually 100% done, which can be years after you've signed the contract. The other thing is that they'll sometimes make the third payment on when it's published, the day it's published, and then they'll make a fourth payment a year after publication. And so that can be a long time that you're waiting for advance money. So those are the kind of things that you want to think about, and think about, do I really want to wait that long, or should I
no.
try and negotiate this back? So lots of
Just as a
things.
question, does that happen more with larger advances
Yeah.
when they're trying to break the payments up? So for cash flow issues?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Also high risk. If they think that the manuscript might be higher risk, or that they think that the manuscript is just, it will eventually earn out, but it's going to take longer to earn out because it's just not something that's like super commercial, but they're looking more at it being more of a literary award type of book where it takes some time to get the awards and to get the, get the cash flow going, get the books selling, that kind of thing. There's all kinds of reasons they do it. Yeah.
And then I didn't even realize that you can negotiate for bonuses for different that happen, whether you receive awards or whether you, and
New York
I
Times.
had no idea about any of those kind of things.
Yeah, those are
There's
huge.
just a lot to be aware of. And even like the royalties and earnings, what is the royalty rate? What's the format? And maybe Heather, you can address some of those options that you have as the author.
Sure. Usually every format has a different standard royalty rate. And you also have to remember that if you're a picture book author only, you have to share the advance and all the earnings with the illustrator. So you get kind of like half as much as you would if you were an author illustrator. These are all over the place, really, because it depends on the publisher, too. If you have, say, a publisher who is very small, their margins are much closer. You're not going to be able to get as high of royalty percentages. You're not going to be able to get maybe the escalators that you want. So for royalties, like one thing you can do too is you can say, after I sell 10,000 books, I want the royalty rate to go up. It's called an escalator. So maybe you start out at 10% for a hardback, but if you sell 10,000 copies, they'll move it to 11%. Then if you sell 20,000 or 25,000, they'll move it to 12%. And remember, over the long run, even a quarter of a percent, it matters. It can matter a lot in the dollars that you're earning. So pushing for higher royalty rates is good. I don't know if you want more than that. There are standards across the industry,
We
but
want to know all of it because this is something that I think most, even if you've been an author and you've signed, it's like that silent, oh, we're not going to talk money. And I really actually appreciate people that talk money because otherwise I know nothing.
yeah, yeah.
So please talk money with us, Heather.
Okay, so standard rates for hardbacks are anywhere from, I would
And are
say,
you talking about, does it matter on the genre too? For kid lit, is it different for adult?
not much.
Okay.
Generally, a hardback book, you'll get 10 to 12%. Like when I have gone to auction, I've been able to get more, like 12 and a half, or get better escalators where the percentages move up at lower sales numbers. For paperback, you're generally looking at 6 to 8%. Mass market is less on the end of that scale. There's all kinds. There's physical audio, usually like a CD, we're talking 10%. Ebooks and digital audio, you're looking at 25% royalty rate. And then, of course, there's all kinds of sub rights that you can negotiate too. And a lot of that really varies. Once you start getting into sub rights, that really varies per the company because different companies have arrangements already with foreign publishers. Some companies have arrangements with subscription boxes or with subscription audio, things like that. So things start getting a lot more complicated, but if you're going to negotiate things like royalties on your own and contracts on your own in general, I would say go get a lawyer. Because if you don't want an agent, you can pay a one-time fee and just get a literary lawyer.
And there are also like the Writers Guild has, you can
Yes.
find people at the Writers Guild and some other places that have literary lawyers available for a not exorbitant amount to take a look at your for you. I think that's really smart.
Yeah, it is. And the Authors Guild also has that and has examples of clauses and things like that you can go and look at, and it's really valuable. Yeah. And the other thing to watch out for with royalties is that some publishers do this on the list price, like the actual price that's listed on your book. And then some publishers give you what's called the net price, or net receipts, which is like they give you the percentage after they have taken all of their expenses out of that.
It's a
And
big difference.
it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference what you get paid.
Yeah. I've heard that more and more they're going to the net
Oh
on
yeah.
contracts. Is that
Oh
true?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay list. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yay.
More and more ways they just cut costs.
So
Okay,
that means we have to be smart about all of this.
Yeah.
Nicki, what other questions would you have going in if you were having to negotiate your contracts?
I think your rights, right, to your work and where it's going to be sold. Is this contract just in the US and Canada, or is it worldwide?
Yeah. And we actually have a really great worksheet you have to be a paid member on our Substack, but there's actually a really great worksheet there that explains all the difference between what does it mean to have US COM rights, what does it mean to have world English or world rights. That's something that's a whole other, we could do a whole other episode on that.
I do think
Well,
that's something that we're just not aware of as authors. That's where it's great to get somebody who understands contracts better than I do. So I think one of the key things I'm saying, if you're going to do it on your own, make sure you're willing to ask for help. Talk to some other
Mhm.
authors, talk to a lawyer.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for help, because so many of these things you just don't even know what
right.
goes into the contract. It's like
Mhm.
trying to write your own will.
Yeah, and other things like I remember before I was agented, and I even called Stephanie and I was like, I want to ask for this. It's like the right to have, they get the first look and rights to your next book in that category. And that's a big deal, especially if you don't know that you're signing that. If you're okay with that's one thing.
That's called the
If
option.
you're, thank you.
Yeah,
If,
and it sounds good, but it's
right,
not
like, oh,
always.
good.
It's not always a good thing.
Yeah, so if you're wanting to try to sub your work to other houses and you have signed that clause, now you're pigeonholed to that. And if you want that to be the case, that's one thing. But stuff like that, stuff like author copies, discount of your copies, and when you as an author buy your own copies of your book to sell, do those numbers count to your sales number? That's a huge deal.
Yes, it is.
Because if you're like, oh, yay, I'm getting these books discounted, I'm just going to buy all the books because it's cheaper, but they don't reflect in your sales number, that's not going to help you when you want to go sell another manuscript.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
these are things you just don't know. I didn't know. You don't know until you either, unfortunately, are on the raw end of it or you learn from someone.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are a lot of subsidiary rights, which these are the rights that aren't your print rights to actually print the book, the printed copy of the book or the ebook. We're talking about
Like what?
subsidiary rights, which are like, can they go and sell this to another publisher in a foreign language? Do they get to go and sell the film rights or the TV rights? Do they get to sell the merchandising? There's one that I didn't retain merchandising. The author cannot even sell a poster on his website because the publisher retained merchandising rights. Can you go somewhere else to get the graphic novel made? There are all kinds of sub rights that you need to think about, and what kind of percentages are they giving you, and do you feel like those percentages are fair, or are they at least close to the industry average? And that's not to say that you're going to get that, and that's not to say that you won't maybe take the deal anyway, but you at least need to know what you're signing. You need to know, like, how does this compare to the industry, and is that okay with me, and am I willing to do this?
Yeah.
And I do think it makes a difference. You do become more aware as you've sold more books. You do become more confident in being able to say, yeah, I'm willing to ask for this. But even if it's your first contract, or maybe especially if it's your first contract, just don't be afraid to ask about these things and check all of them out, because it can make a huge difference on on whether you're making money at writing or not.
Yeah. And they will keep as much as they can.
Sure.
It
It's their
benefits,
business.
and it's a business. Yeah.
It is a business. So
And if you are, oh,
how long is the publisher's license on all of these? Does that vary from contract to contract? Is that negotiable?
It's usually for the life of the copyright, but occasionally you'll get them, you can get it for shorter. But there's a lot of other factors. But Nikki, did you have something you were going to say?
oh, I was just thinking about when you guys were talking about getting more confident and wanting to push back. And I was going to say, even if you have an agent, hopefully your agent is saying, I would like to push back on this and try to get more for you, right? That's part of their job. But If your
Yes.
agent doesn't say that and you would like to try to push and act more, ask your agent, hey, I would really like to push on this to this because, you know what I mean? Again, this is a relationship that involves two people, not just one. And obviously, hopefully, your agent still has your best interest in heart. But it's okay to also push back and challenge in a respectful, kind way your agent on things too, if you
Yeah.
really feel passionate about something.
It's your agent's career, but it's also, this is your writing career. And it's your signature going on the contract. No one else's signature goes on there. It's you and the publisher. That's it. Another thing I really want to say is that, like, even if you've pushed and you can't get the percentages you wanted, or maybe you can't get quite everything that you wanted, or all those sub rights you wanted to retain, you can still add things like, okay, if you don't sell the film within 5 years of me publishing this, I want that right to revert back to me. Or if you don't sell this to foreign publishers within a few years, then I want those rights to revert back to me so I can go try and sell them. So there are so many levels of compromising that you can do. I think that, and asking in a respectful way, there's a lot of things that they will give you if you just know to ask. But if you don't ask, they're not going to offer that to you. These are things that only come by asking for them.
And usually publishers will say, if you have any questions once they send, the contract, let me know and ask your questions. Like if you need help clarifying something, ask them. They need to tell you what it is. It would not hurt to check out another source for that. I love to think that we want to live in a world where everyone means well, but we're realistic too. But like you can still ask those questions. It's not that you can't ask them. It's just you might not know how to respond to that question unless you hire someone, whether it's an agent or a literary lawyer.
Yeah.
But so, what else besides? What about marketing? Does that matter in the contract? What does it address that? What have you guys seen?
I've never seen a contract, except for one, that addressed marketing, and I asked for it.
So, what does that mean, Stephanie?
You're
What
on
does
your
that
own,
mean
babe.
for us? Yeah, I think there's a common misconception that once you publish with a publisher that you don't have to do marketing, and that is never the case
Ever.
ever.
Some,
Well, even when they do a ton of marketing for you,
yeah, you
you're
still
the
have
one that has to show up. You have to show up at the signing. You have to show up at the school visit. You have to show up at the tour, the book tour. Even if they're signing you up for things, you still have to be the one to go and do.
but I'm super grateful if they're signing me up for things because it's easier than having
Absolutely.
to do that myself. But yeah, that's the whole marketing issue. But then there's some things about just in production wanting to know because I know this is is it going to come out in paperback? Is it going to be hardback? Is it going to be hardback and then go to paperback? And how many books are going to be on the print run? All of those kind of things. Are those negotiable or is that pretty standard in the contracts?
Generally, things like print run will never be specified in a contract because there are too many things that happen that affect printing. Like the cost of paper changes,
Yeah.
the cost of shipping changes. Somebody gets put in as president and there are tariffs. There are so many unknowns that happen between the time you sign a book and the time it's actually printed. And you're talking a year or sometimes 2 years. That's a long time and a lot can happen. The economy can change, inflation can happen. So they will rarely specify
Okay.
things like print runs or the price of the book or
Mhm.
things like that. A lot of times, though, it's not a lot, but sometimes they will specify simultaneously releasing hardcover, paperback, and audio.
Mhm.
Sometimes they will specify that for you if you ask for it. But that's also a pretty rare get for contracts.
That's good to know, though. I feel like I'm learning some things
Yeah.
that I need to
Sure.
know. What else, Nikki? What else do we need to know?
I think it depends on the publisher, but I don't know if this is an ask, and maybe not necessarily in the contract. Heather, you can speak to it. But are you going to get any say in cover design or the illustrator choice or writing the flat copy or stuff like that? Heather, what is that something generally that just like sometimes the editor will be like, oh, this is what we're thinking. What is there one you prefer for an illustrator or cover design? But I'm
Most
not, is that something that can be contractual?
absolutely. I ask for it all the time.
Okay.
Most editors are very respectful of the author's wishes, and I have found pretty much every editor I've ever had my clients work with has been respectful of what the author hopes or wishes for the book. At the same time, the editor is going back and forth with sales and marketing and going back and forth with the production design teams, and they're looking at what is selling in this space right now. What does that look like? What are the covers trending toward? That kind of thing. How can we make this book stand out and be different than the rest of the books that are in this genre or age category? And this is one area where it's important to, in my opinion, have the author as part of the conversation. It's also, I think, important to realize this is part of the reason you went to trade is because you aren't the expert, right? So when we're negotiating contracts, I always ask for author approval. I never get it. That's not true. I don't never get it, but it's very rare that I get
Mhm.
author approval on anything. And you can ask that you have approval on the title, on the cover art, on the illustrator, on the illustrations inside it. You can ask for consultation on your audio narrator or things like that. You can ask for consultation if this ends up going to, you don't retain graphic novel rights and it becomes a graphic novel, can you have consultation on the script? Or can you have first rights to write the script? If this ends up being translated, can you have first rights to be the translator for this if you're bilingual? There are a lot of things that you can ask for consultation or approval on. A lot of times they'll give you consultation because that's how they work anyway. And so they'll say, yeah, well, we have no problem like committing to consult with you about this because that's our process. But even sometimes they won't give you consultation. They'll say, no, like we will be doing this. It's really rare, but sometimes it does happen. So it just depends. But yeah, it's something you can always ask for.
Good to know. See?
It is.
Another thing with illustrations or with nonfiction you should ask about is a photo budget or some kind of thing like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
If you,
yes. Nikki
because
and I know about that.
yeah, for nonfiction,
And
photographs
usually the
cost a
answer
lot.
is no, there is no budget.
Yeah.
But a
Or
lot
it's
of
in your
times
it's in your advance.
Yes, that.
or sometimes they will give you an extra photo budget. I have gotten several of my authors to have photo budgets over the years.
In marketing, like with one of my books, I did not have any clause about marketing on the front end, but I did get approval after meeting with my PR and got money for marketing for a travel
Yeah.
because I did a budget and showed how expensive it was going to be. But that doesn't always happen too. So like sometimes things on the back end, I guess, can get there, but it's always better if you can have it in that contract when you sign it, right?
Yeah.
Then it's legally taken care of.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, what else? What like not necessarily like little things, but just what
Um
are some other? Oh
AI
yes,
Okay, that's
are
it. That's a really good question on
let's talk about that.
both sides of it. Can they use my book for AI? And yes, talk
okay, let's just
AI.
be clear. Let's just be clear. When you sign a contract, you are not giving the publisher the right to have your book used to train AI. That is not part of the contract.
Oh,
If you want to have that book licensed if they want to buy the license to use it for AI, that is something that they need to include. You should always have the right to do that, though, as the author of the book, or not
Okay,
do
but
it.
that usually the author retains the rights for the AI usage. Okay.
For
Let's say they
training
didn't.
AI.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, there's a huge copyright infringement
but doesn't that happen?
with all kinds of
Like
AI. Yes, it
pe-
has happened.
people find out that their past books, have been used to train AI.
Yes, and there's a
Yeah.
class action suit going on right now, actually a couple, with major AI companies where they are having to pay out and pay the authors for the use of those that were pirated for
As
training.
they should, in my opinion.
Well, in the judge's opinion too, I think. So
Yes.
we'll see. We'll see. It's not settled completely yet, but
No,
we will see.
it's not.
I think
It's
it's
one of
going to be.
those. It's easier to ask forgiveness than to have asked permission in the first place.
So a lot of publishers are now asking permission first and saying, "Hey, we'll pay you this much if we can use your AI," and then you have to make that decision for yourself. But
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah. On the other side of AI, you can have it specified in your contract that you don't want the publisher to be using AI on your book. You don't want an AI cover. You don't want it. It's very rare that they will grant a whole lot in this aspect. There are some publishers who won't even include any AI clauses in their contracts. They just absolutely refuse, hands down. So,
So here's a question, Heather, for all these things, whether you have an agent or not. So you ask for something and you are not granted what you want.
uh-huh.
Maybe what do you tell your authors if they're at a point where they don't know if they want to accept this contract based on whatever they weren't granted? How would you advise to go about whether or not you should move forward or what you should let go?
It really depends contract to contract. Because this is the thing is that negotiating a contract is a give and take. So sometimes the publisher is going to give you some things but not give you other things. And what you have to assess is in the overall package, do I believe that this is going to be a beneficial relationship? Is this a symbiotic relationship for both of us? And if the answer is no, like I'm not getting what I need out of this contract, then you shouldn't sign it. And that's just something I feel like is so specific from contract to contract that it's not really something that can be talked about even in a semi general way.
Okay, that makes sense.
I have had contracts that I've said no and moved on. And
And so, what is the response to that, Stephanie? Is it an okay and they move on, or
yeah, if I'm going to say the contract is so abysmal that I can't sign this, that they're
You can
just,
just reply and say, this is a
and
deal
they,
breaker for me. I
right.
need this in order to move
Or,
forward. And they might
yeah,
respond and say, I'm sorry, we can't give that to you.
yeah,
And then you just part ways. And that's
yeah,
it. You just don't keep negotiating.
yeah, it's
okay.
okay. Because you do have to make that decision. Sometimes it is not worth it.
Yeah,
And
the time is it worth? Because when you're on
it's not,
that,
to me, it's if that book producer doesn't value my work as much as I feel that it should be valued, I will move on.
Yeah.
Because I can write another book.
You can
So
write another
you
book.
do,
You can
we
sell
can
it
sell it
somewhere
somewhere else,
else.
which my agent has done. Yeah.
You can self publish it and retain all the rights, and you
Yeah.
can market it yourself and get it done yourself.
There are lots of options.
There are a lot of options.
Yeah. So I do think that's important to not feel that you're locked into it. That's the only contract you're going to have. You should feel good about what you sign. And yeah, you're going to have to give some, both sides are going to give some give and take. You're not going to get everything you want, but it should be something that is acceptable to you. And if it's not, it's okay to say no, thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
And regardless of what you decide, it's still it's an awesome moment
Yes,
to be given
absolutely.
a book offer, no matter what, right? That is a very reassuring moment, as a writer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, at the end of the day, you got to go with your gut and what you're going to be happy with, because it's still a long way to go after you sign that contract. It's not, so you don't want to be miserable the entire time, because it
No,
could still be years.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and another thing you want to know, especially if you're negotiating your own contracts with smaller publishers, is that there are bankruptcy clauses, and I'm not going to go into them, but just be aware that they exist. There are bankruptcy clauses where if the company goes under or it folds, you need to get those rights back in a timely manner so that you can move forward with that manuscript somewhere else or self-publish it for yourself. So there are also, I just want to reiterate, there are places, our Substack, we are going to be having, I have a whole 4-part series on option clauses and how you should be careful of option clauses, how you can limit them, how you can get out of them. And we're going to continue to have series on contracts and things that you can watch out for. It is not legal advice, nor is this legal advice, but at the same time, we're just trying to make you aware that these things exist and that it is in your best interest to go and find at least a literary lawyer if you aren't going to be using an agent for negotiating your publishing contracts.
Awareness is what we're really trying to promote. And the more you know, the more you're going to be armed and ready to make decisions that are going to be in your best interest. And that's what we want. We want you to be able to conquer your path, including in contracts.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Wayward Writers.
Let's connect. Find us at waywardwriters.com, X, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
See you next time. Conquer your path.